The fascinating social life of flamingos, secrets of their strange friendships and rituals. Flamingos are some of the most unmistakable birds on the planet. With their blushing pink feathers, elegant stilt-like legs, and graceful necks that curve like question marks, they've captured human imagination for centuries. But behind that flamboyant appearance lies a creature whose survival depends entirely on community, ritual, and a surprisingly quirky social life. A world built on numbers. In the Caribbean and across parts of South America, Africa, and even the Middle East, flamingos gather in vast colonies that can reach tens of thousands of individuals. Such gatherings are not simply for show, they are a matter of life and death. A single flamingo, standing on a mudflat alone, is a nervous wreck. Shadows frighten them, ripples in the water alarm them, and even ducks or gulls can send them flapping into chaos. But when they are in a flock, something extraordinary happens. Thousands of eyes and ears share the burden of vigilance, and their fear transforms into confidence. With predators ranging from jaguars and crocodiles to large birds of prey, safety in numbers is their greatest weapon. This instinct for togetherness also shapes the rest of their lives. Flamingos don't just stand side by side, they synchronize. In giant courtship displays, hundreds or even thousands of birds march, head bob, and flap their wings in perfect unison, as if performing a dance choreographed by nature itself. Scientists believe this mass ritual helps stimulate breeding across the colony, ensuring that all chicks are hatched at roughly the same time. A clever trick that overwhelms predators with more young than they could possibly snatch. Life in the nursery. At Seabreeze Wildlife Sanctuary, the flamingo flock recently celebrated the arrival of 16 chicks. Just like in the wild, these youngsters were placed in a creche, a communal nursery where the young are raised together rather than individually by their parents. The comparison to a human schoolyard is uncanny. The chicks constantly squabble, shove, and steal food, often for no reason other than proving dominance. And yet, among all the noisy jostling, one chick stood out. A gentle, quieter male nicknamed Rio avoided trouble whenever possible. He seemed more interested in watching than fighting. Before long, Rio formed an unlikely friendship with another young male, Sol. The two became inseparable. They fed together, preened side by side, and even bathed in unison. Keepers described them as the old married couple of the nursery, and their bromance quickly became the talk of the sanctuary. Trouble in paradise. But Rio's journey wasn't destined to be easy. As the juveniles prepared to join the main flock in the grand aviary, keepers noticed Rio limping. At first it seemed minor, a bruise, perhaps, or a small strain. But flamingos are ruthlessly practical. In the wild, a bird that lags behind is abandoned. The flock doesn't slow down for the weak. To prevent Rio from being isolated, the keepers made a rare decision. They kept Sol behind as well. This was more than kindness, it was necessity. Flamingos are deeply social, and one left alone can spiral into extreme stress. Stress in turn weakens their immune system, undermining any medical treatment. Sol's presence was Rio's best medicine. Veterinary checks revealed the problem wasn't in Rio's leg but in his foot, which had become swollen and inflamed. The first round of antibiotics failed, and so the team faced a tense choice. Rio had to be anesthetized for x-rays and joint fluid tests. Seeing a flamingo unconscious on a table is a sobering reminder of their fragility. These tall, flamboyant birds, so full of life when wading through shimmering waters, looked delicate, almost breakable when still. The results pointed to a bacterial infection. It was treatable, but there was risk. If the infection had spread to the bone, recovery could take months or might not be possible at all. The power of companionship. Through all of this, Sol remained at Rio's side. He guarded him from nosy younger chicks and even small birds that wandered too close. It was as if he knew his friend was vulnerable. Animal behaviorists have long observed that flamingos form strong social bonds, sometimes even same-sex pairings that last a lifetime. These relationships help reduce stress, encourage feeding, and increase overall survival. Rio and Sol were living proof of that. Weeks passed, and finally the change became clear. Rio no longer limped. His bright pink legs carried him confidently once more. He splashed in the water, groomed his feathers with care, and showed no signs of pain. The antibiotics had worked. Back to the flock. Now came the final test, reintegration. Having spent extra time around humans in the nursery, Rio and Sol risked being too tame. Flamingos learn social skills from the group: how to display, how to feed in formation, how to find their place in the colony. If they lost touch with those instincts, they might struggle to blend in. The aviary gates opened. Hundreds of adult flamingos stood waiting, a sea of pink stretching across the shallow waters. Sol stepped forward first, Rio just behind him. For a heartbeat, both hesitated, two young birds about to face the flock's judgment. Then, like a ripple through the crowd, the older flamingos shifted, making space. The pair slipped seamlessly into the formation. No rejection, no hostility, just acceptance. Lessons from the pink parade. Flamingos are often unfairly labeled as silly or stupid birds, largely because of their skittish nature. But their story reveals something far more complex. Their intelligence lies not in individual brilliance, but in collective strength. From synchronized dancing to shared parenting, from mass migrations to unlikely friendships, flamingos remind us that survival is often about unity rather than independence. Rio and Sol's bond, forged in the nursery and tested through illness, is a small story in the grand scheme of the flock. Yet it shines a light on a bigger truth. In a world of fragile creatures, friendship can be as powerful a force as instinct. And so, on a shimmering lagoon filled with the calls and colors of thousands of flamingos, two companions marched forward, not just survivors, but proof that even in nature, loyalty matters.